The Last of Us Season 2 was unwatchable. This had to be one of the most disappointing seasons of television I've ever witnessed, especially because I thought the creators of the show would try to at least improve on some of the aspects that people had issues with Part 2, or at least, at the very least, try to explain it a little bit better for television. And they didn't. I would honestly say the worst thing about this season was how they actually created Ellie's character. I don't blame fully Bella Ramsey's performance for Ellie in this season, because I think the writing was just so goddamn bad, and you can't even blame the poor girl for what was being given to her. Just like all the other actors, the portrayal of some of these different characters was awful. Like the minute Ellie did the whole "I'm gonna be a dad" thing, I was like, what the hell is even that? In the game, Ellie is riddled with guilt. She is on a revenge tour right now, while also trying to find Tommy, but also find Abby and kill all of her friends in the process. This line was so frustrating to listen to when watching the show. I mean, the character Dina seemed to have more like fire under her ass to go take out these people because she wanted to avenge Joel. Ellie didn't want to avenge Joel, even though she kept telling you she wanted to avenge Joel. And Jesse's character, what was the point of his character this season? What was it? What did he even contribute other than maybe 3 scenes the entire time? I don't know if they tried to make me really dislike Jesse this season, and maybe that's what they were trying to go for towards the end and make you kind of dislike him or just find him annoying. But honestly, Ellie was just so much more obnoxious at the very end, that especially when she was like, who cares about community? When that scene also happened and her and Jesse were kind of that little back and forth, I was like, you're the villain, Ellie. You're the bad person. Jesse's correct. He's actually trying to save you and try to save Dina and this unborn child, but you are so much of a brat that you're forcing everyone into this situation where they're all gonna die. And guess what? Guess what? Ready? Spoiler alert. Jesse dies. The overall pacing of this season made absolutely no sense. It was like we skipped most of the story, most of the rampage, the carnage. There were scenes that were so vital to the game that were just completely taken out. Like the one where they had that girl playing the PSP, where Ellie just brutally murdered her, because you know why? She's on a killing warpath right now. We don't even get to see that interrogation that they come up on with the 2 guys that Tommy had clearly interrogated the same way Joel did, because they shrunk the group of, or at least Abby's group, to like 5 people. And we haven't even seen one of those people being Manny for most of the time outside of the first, 2 episodes? The Nora death wasn't nearly as brutal as it was in the game. Like, it was actually pretty terrifying to at least experience that end of it. It showed how deep Ellie had fallen in her revenge tour. They had to retcon sports because they knew it was stupid that they took it out. They had Josh Peck in it for like a hot second to play some random soldier that just gets kaboomed. And the WLF stuff that was happening on the side was just weird, because we haven't seen anything of Abby up until the start and then the end of the actual season. Like, it's great that they showed us Isaac and how awful of a human being he is, but why? Why show us that in this season? Why not wait till next season when he's more involved in Abby's story? There's nothing that he really adds to this story. There's nothing he hasn't even talked to Ellie. I'm not gonna lie, it felt like this entire season was written by a fucking toddler. It was the most frustrating thing to watch. They took out so much stuff that was really vital to the story just for pure pacing maybe, but it was horribly paced. None of it made sense. When Ellie ends up on an island of like scars, for what? To get a magnum? Great. What was the point of that? Her boat conveniently washed up on the same island as her? What are you trying to show? The kind of parallel between her and like Abby when that eventually happens to her, and then that random guy they saw in the forest? What was the point of that entire scene? When she ends up at the marina and ends up killing Mel and Owen? For what? What was there was just such a weird scene. It didn't feel, the original was more impactful, I felt, in a certain way, because it showed the 2 of them trying to overpower her. Like, it was just very odd. And then when we get to the final showdown, not the final showdown because we haven't even seen that part yet, but when we get Abby's reintroduction, Bella Ramsey, it was either her that sold that performance or like the script writing was terrible. It wasn't like a sold in a good way. Like, it was terrible. It was some of the worst. The last episode of The Last of Us, the season 2, is some of the worst acting I think I've ever seen. It was like the actors were kind of stuttering over their words, or like it was very choppy. Like, it was not good. It was very hard to watch, in my opinion. And in some way, I think this is done to make Abby look like the better character next season. Like, I think in some way, weird way, you're gonna see people online say how great Abby is and how justified she is for doing these things. The one pro out of this entire season that I will say is Pedro Pascal's performance. It was an S-tier performance. He was unbelievable in the 2-3 episodes he was in. He was great. every single step of the way. And it sucks that we lose this character. Like, we all knew as fans that this was going to happen. They could have drawn this out a little bit longer, but whatever. But to lose that character pretty much means the end of the Last of Us TV show. Unless Caitlin Devers can really, like, knock it out of the park with some sort of amazing performance, which she might. She is a good actress, and I think she does play a very good Abby, and I think she'll have a very good season 3, and I think it might bring a lot of people back. But I think the story of Ellie is pretty much done. They're gonna run this out for apparently also 4 seasons, which is bizarre. Like, why run this out for 4 seasons? Nobody cares. You could have wrapped this up in 3 and then been done with it, but they don't want to do that because you know what? Money. That's all they want in the end of the day. But here's what I'm gonna say. The Last of Us Season 2 is by far one of the most disappointing things I have ever watched. And I did think it was going to be better. I went in with some high hopes. I thought they were going to tweak some things. I thought they were going to do a couple things here and there differently. But they didn't do that. They made it worse than the original story. And I think it's universally hated. I think there's a lot of people that do not like this story and how they actually just destroyed some of these characters. It is a disaster of a season. And I really, really am excited for Season 3 because I do want to see Abby. I want to see how they portray her character this time around, because I think they're gonna make that character better than it was and than I thought it was in the game. I think they're gonna really try to make that character look good because they want to kind of take some of that feedback that they got from the game where people were really upset with Abby's character, because I think they thought people would be okay playing as this character that brutally murdered a fan favorite character, but no, they weren't. And I think they're gonna try to justify it. I think that's what they're gonna try to do, and I think it's gonna be very interesting to see that side of it. That's probably going to be a very interesting season. But Ellie, her story this season, awful. I could not believe this is what they went with this season. What a total disaster by Craig Who Cares and Neil Druckmann. It is pathetic of a season. It's the worst season I've ever seen. Awful. Pathetic. I would love to hear your thoughts. Goodbye. My rant's done.